Let's quickly talk about, more that's trickling in and gain in a perspective really from Mr. Michael Ignatieff, former Canada leader of opposition. Mr. Ignatieff, thank you for speaking 2 times now. First and foremost, how do you read the current situation, the ongoing situation between India and Canada, and especially in the light of the Canadian Prime Minister's claims that Indian government agents have killed Hardeep Singh Nijjar or have had a role to play in his killing?
Well, this is a long story. There have been advocates of independence for Khalistan in the British Columbia region of our country for a long time. Your viewers will remember the Air India bombing in 1985, which was credibly linked to Khalistan terrorists based in Canada. So this has been going on for a long time. What is new is a Canadian Prime Minister saying that he has credible information from his security services that agents of the Indian government actively assassinated a citizen of Canada, a Khalistan supporter, in June near his Gurdwara. This is very serious, and I don't believe that a Canadian Prime Minister would get up in the House of Commons and make these accusations unless he had very firm evidence, because the friendship between Canada and India is too important for him to play games. He must have evidence, and he'll have to present that to the Canadian people. I understand that he's presented it to the Indians. He's presented it to your Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and I know the security services have presented their evidence to the Indian security services. So my assumption is that there's something here, and it's if there is something here, and if an Indian security agent killed a Canadian citizen on Canadian territory, it's an absolutely unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. And if, Canadians were to do that in India, you'd be furious, and rightly so. So there are a lot of concerns here.
Okay, Mr. Ignatieff, I'm afraid there's been an official communication. India has issued an official denial so far. But what explains Justin Trudeau making such a public statement out in the open when one would have assumed that, as two mature democracies with a close relationship, even in the field of counter-terrorism, this would have been addressed through government channels? Why do you think Justin Trudeau escalated it to this level?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's a good question because we are good friends. We have a huge number of people from the subcontinent in our country, and they're fantastic citizens. So we have deep connections at the most intimate family level between the two countries. And we have very strong, relations as governments. I don't know why. I don't know what's happened to make this go public. It appears to be the case that Canada has tried the quiet route, quiet diplomacy, going to the Indians on the quiet and making their concerns known. And they've been rebuffed. And that, I think, has pushed the Prime Minister towards making this public. He's also been under some pressure from the press in Canada, which got hold of the story and was going to release it. So he's under domestic pressure to go public. And I think he did not get the answers he needed when he was in India last week. And that's produced this blow up. I certainly hope it can be sorted out, because if you stand back from this, Canada has a particular opposition to any form of separatism, because we've had this problem in our own country. So we don't want to encourage separatism in any other country,
well,
not
Mr.
in India, not in
speaking
Sri
about
Lanka,
the last
not
week,
in these other places. And like India, we have exactly the same attitude towards terrorism. We oppose it. We're both democratic states. So I'm hoping this can be worked out, but it's a very, very serious matter.
Well, speaking about the G20 summit, sir, the Indian side was very, very clear. It spoke of how Canada, for the longest time, has given a long rope for far too long to these kind of elements. And it's going to be problematic for India in days to come and years to come if nothing is done about it. Sir, thank you for speaking to us here on Times Now. We need to take a very short break. With that, lots more lined up on the other side.